Good morning, everyone. I'm sure everyone can hear me. I have a nice loud voice and probably don't need the mic. I am here to talk about mapping the information superhighway. And I also work at the DOT in planning and asset management. And I have a couple people in the audience today that I'd like to give a shout out to. One is going to be my assistant, Jeremy, who works with me.
Hi.
He is also a good MC for those of you that were in the room. And then Rebecca, she's also on our team, so I never give her a shout out, and then I always feel guilty. And then I'm going to talk about two projects, and the people I'm working on those projects are actually in the room. One is Rob, and one is Miles, and they sat right beside each other, even if they don't want to open or wave their hands. So today we're actually going to, I know the title says mapping, but we're going to discuss the spatial data that we use in our maps, because really that's where our information comes from. So we're going to talk a little bit about the different components of spatial data, ways to collect it from past to present, and lastly, a few projects that I'm working on that are being used to collect data when we're in the field. So let me see if I can figure out how to work this. So, more than just paper maps. So I know a lot of people, when you think of spatial data, you think of the map itself. And spatial data is more than just the pretty picture on your map. The data behind the points, lines, and polygons that you collect should also explain characteristics of that object. When we are collecting spatial data, we should think about what is important and how we're going to use this data. So an example is my coworker, Jeremy, and I, and Steve, who's not in this room, and Rebecca, to some extent. She works on a little different project. We are responsible for the roadway data in the state of North Dakota. And, we, of course, have the physical locations of those roads. But if you think about roadway data, there are a lot of important characteristics in it. How much traffic travels down it? What's the speed limit on it? Is it paved? Is it gravel? There are many characteristics that we actually, or attributes that we have in our database to explain different information about the roads. And that's used for everything from planning to navigation. It's a rather large data set. So anyway, that information is helpful to the public because some of those characteristics are going to help you decide the best way to get from point A to point B. So, and as we have had changes in technology, collecting our spatial data has been made easier. So let's go back a couple thousands of years. We're going to journey back in time and take a look at the beginnings of spatial data collection. So it all started with surveying, and surveying techniques date back to ancient Babylonia. A measure rope and unit rod were used to construct Pythagorean triples to divide agricultural plots and draw map elements. Survey information in those days was recorded on a limestone tablet, and some of our first maps were on those limestone tablets. So in the picture on the slide, you see an example of one of those maps. It's a river between two hills. Other things, besides just the map, they also had boundary markers on limestone tablets, and those had spatial data on them. The information such as who owned that piece of land, who surveyed it, where it was, the property description, etc. So data has always been a very important component of mapping and location-based information. Another well-known group known for its early surveying techniques were the Egyptians, and they used a variety of tools to maintain accurate land boundaries for taxation. And this was especially important in areas around the Nile River, which flooded yearly, so they are always having to remeasure those areas. A very famous application, though, of early surveying techniques would be the Egyptian pyramids. The Great Pyramid of Giza, which was built around 2700 BC, exhibited nearly perfect squareness, being off by only a matter of inches. So if you can imagine, they used things such as plumb bobs, ropes, etc., and they were very accurate when they were building those pyramids. They are credited with the first use of the plumb bob, which was used to measure vertical angles and distances. And according to what I read on the internet, and we all know not everything on the internet is true, is plumb bobs are still used today, which I don't survey, so I can't confirm or deny that piece of information. And then you might know there's a QR code on the bottom of the map. When I was doing research on the early days of surveying or mapping, I came across the story map that some people published from Utah Valley University. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about what I've talked on these two slides, you can check that out. So let's fast forward to today. And today we use a variety of different techniques to acquire spatial data. Often the things on this screen might be used in conjunction with one another. Survey equipment has advanced through the ages. We're no longer using ropes. Apparently we are still using plumb bobs. But I think we can agree the biggest contribution to making surveying easier and more accurate was the global positioning system. So commonly known as GPS, that system, of course, was made available to civilians in 1983. If you stop by some of the exhibitors out in the exhibit hall down there, there's all kinds of survey equipment down, or not all kinds, but Frontier Precision has survey equipment down there. They're one of our sponsors. They have, you can get things, total station units, laser equipment, and drones all incorporate GPS. And as we all know, GPS is widely available. Most of us have it in the palm of our hands, where you have several different applications that you can utilize. We can also use aerial photography to collect spatial data, depending on the accuracy you need. You can reference aerial photography to digitize your points, lines, and polygons. We do have the National Aerial Imagery Program, aerial images on our North Dakota GIS Hub, available for anyone in this room to download, and I do have the link on this slide. Last but not least, we have LiDAR, and I would be amiss to not mention AI. AI seems to be a big thing lately. I have mixed feelings about it, but I can see where it'd be handy. So, if any of you have been to one of my sessions or Jeremy's sessions before, you know we always have to test your knowledge. So, my assistant Jeremy is going to come up here and explain today's prizes.
All right, thank you. Thank you for coming out this morning. So for our prizes, we have, since Stephanie was just on a trip, a cruise, right?
A cruise, yes.
Okay.
But I did take an airplane, hence the bags.
Airplane. So we have our prizes, or she has her prizes in these lovely airstick bags from Delta Airlines, courtesy of Delta Airlines. I don't think they're a sponsor, but anyway, we have some protein bars, some Kleenexes, and what's this? Oh, granola snackies, and something for your water, and some chapsticks, and mints, and then, oh, this one's already broken. Oh. And then my mother got my family a bunch of these neat little wind-up cars. It's from, you remember that store that had all the really fancy imports, Pier 1? Yes. You go there and you get these really fancy things. So my mom found a website that does the same thing, this expensive, fancy import site. It's called Temu. And so we got a whole bunch. And actually I have more cars too. So if you get it wrong, if you guess and it's wrong, I'll give you a car anyway. It's a consolation prize. So you get a free car.
Woo! Everyone gets a free car. Well, not
Well, not
everyone,
everyone. I don't know
because the
that
bag isn't full. So the way this is gonna work is I chose Where Am I, since I did just come back from vacation. And I don't know if anyone has played this game, trivia game, but it has a list of clues. So I'll go through each clue one by one. If you think you know what I'm talking about, raise your hand. If you blurt it out, you don't get a prize. We all got to play nice in this room. Jeremy is going to be
No
looking for
equivalent
hands.
stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone needs some Kleenex. So, where am I? I am a city. Anyone? Anyone? I am in Europe. I lie on both banks of the Danube River. I am home to the world's oldest existing zoo. I am known for my coffee houses.
Ooh, you.
Vienna! Woo! Thanks for playing.
Beautiful Vienna, Australia.
Okay, so now we are gonna move to the part of the presentation where I'm gonna try to show some demos, and I've already made the poor IT lady Ashley earn her salary this morning because I did not realize everything was supposed to be embedded in the slides. So we'll see how this goes. But the first project we're going to talk about is pavement marking collections. Okay, and this is a project I'm working on with Rob in the Williston District. And what is it? Or maybe we should start with the why. Like, why do we need this? We'll go with what. So basically what we want out of this project is the ability to collect pavement marking data in the field safely and accurately. And we want an easy way to export that data once we've collected it to be used in design quantities. So where are we going to use this application? We're going to use it out in the field. And we plan to start in Williston, but when Rob and I were working on this, we did keep all districts in mind to hopefully want to use it as well. So, why are we doing this? Because currently this data is in Excel spreadsheets, and they are not always accurate due to so many changes in the Williston district during the oil boom. An example is last year, quantities for messages and channel lines were 40% over planned quantities, causing an overrun in project costs. So we want to try to avoid that. So what is our solution? We're going to use field maps. Why field maps? Because we already have an ESRI license, so that works fine, good for us. So what are the steps to this project? We need to determine what information we want to acquire when we're out in the field and build our GIS layer. Then we're going to create a form that's easy to use in the field and quick to use. Quick entry and try to avoid mistakes. We're going to test it in the field, which has already been done, and then we need to be able to export that data from ArcGIS Pro. So, because I like to keep things interesting, I always like to have live demos, which after all these years, I should know better. But I actually did record the first project's one, so I think we're good here. We'll see about the next project. So, I think if I just, okay, so what is this on the screen? This is the feature class that we built for collecting this data. And there are certain things we looked at when we built it. What type of information does Rob need on his reports to build his design information? So he needs the quantity of messages, the type of messages, links, etc. He also needs to be able to summarize by where these projects are. So we used highways and reference points. We also included the districts, so when we roll all the other districts onto this program, they can easily sort through their data and not have to look at everyone in the state's information. If you look in the domain column, you'll notice we set up domains. What is a domain? For those of you that are not familiar with GIS, it is basically a fancy word for a set of values available in the drop-down menu. It's where data lives in the domain, according to Jerry.
It's a house.
Yeah, okay.
Domain is your house.
Yeah, so we didn't put the names of our people in the house in there, but we did put the names of, well, okay, so this screen is all the domains. Domains are assigned per database, so there's a lot of them because this is the DOT database. And the nice thing about that is if there's a domain already created for what you want, you can just go ahead and assign it to any feature layer in that database. But we needed some of our own special domains, so we set up this district message type. And so these are the type of messages or paint markings that we are collecting out in the field. And so the nice thing is you have the code, you have the description, and your description can be something that actually makes sense to the person out in the field, where TLN, well, it might make sense to Rob, but definitely wouldn't make sense to me. Another thing we did to make things easier for our people in the field is we set up contingent values. So the way this works is once a user selects a highway, the reference points that are available to them are based on the highway they selected. So that's just, domains and contingent values are just an easy way to hopefully prevent some inaccurate data entry. And also misspellings if you spell like I do, so. So that is how we built the database. And apparently it takes me longer to click than it does to explain it. So we'll just go to the next video. Well, maybe we'll go. Okay, so now I have a treat for you. We're gonna watch how this is used in the field. And I thank Rob and whoever helped him for this. This is real time. They're real time field work. So here they are out in the field, and we have this set up to allow for photos. So they're in field maps, and they're gonna take a photo of the location that they are recording or getting the point for. And then I believe this is where he measures the channel length. I can't remember. Rob, help me out. Yep, yeah.
The channel length and yeah, just using a DMI.
Yeah. So he's using his DMI to measure the channel length. So once he gets to the end, he's gonna. So now he's going to go in here and he's going to record his information. So we have the date. Here is where he's going to put his district in.
When I pick Williston, it only gives me the roads in Williston and the drop down arrow. It keeps sorting everything. When I pick the road that's US 2, I have the mile markers broken up. That'll be on our design.
So in case you didn't hear him, he was just saying that the mile markers coincide with his design documents. So he enters in all his information. Here where you can see the use of our domains. Easier to just click than have to type in a bunch of stuff, especially when you're using a tablet or a phone.
Yes, no prompts. So for channel line, pick yes, no. If it's yes, you can enter in the length of it, and then later on, pull everything out. So to summarize this section of road, I have this many messages, this is the square feet of messages, these are the channel length I have.
Okay, so that video was fairly short, and that is. So that is, a fairly quick, easy way for them to get this data. You saw it took maybe a minute to 2 minutes for each.
And I have to collect everything, go to the next third lane.
Doing that from the car.
You don't have to leave the car, so safety, weather, you don't have to worry about that. You can see there is traffic on the road, so minimal impact to traffic. Okay, and then the last requirement of this project is we needed to be able to export it, to summarize it by highway reference point and type of message, so we could export it out to Excel so he could use it in his design information. So we are doing that really easily in ArcPro. We are just going to use the summarize tool. So we're just opening the attribute, and I should have re-recorded this video because it has some, it doesn't have as much data as we have. Or it's an older video. We'd have, the results are more spectacular now than they are in this video. But here we're just telling it where to put our file. And then, oh, apparently I typed slow. So once we tell it where we want it, it's gonna create a table inside your local geodatabase for your project. We gotta tell what we want to summarize. We want to know the quantity of message, the total square foot of message, says the channel length, and the stop bar length. And then how do we want it summarized? We want it by highway, reference point, and type of message. So once we get that set up, we'll just click OK, and it'll run it, so compute it for us. And then when it's done, we can open up this table and you can see where it has our results. And so I didn't include the next part. I had it as another video, but then there's a tool, a geoprocessing tool that just export it to Excel spreadsheet. So we export it out to our Excel spreadsheet and we have all the information that we need. And then of course, if any of this changes, any of those road segments, you would just re-summarize it. The table still stays as part of your geodatabase, so you can reference it. You don't have to always run this step. Okay? So that brings us to more trivia. Woohoo!
All right.
We're doing good on time.
Okay, so. You talk slow.
People don't mind if we get out of here early.
Really? I don't think so.
Everyone wants to be here till 9:51. Okay, so are you guys ready for your next bit of trivia? I am a body of water. Anyone? Anyone? I began to form during the Jurassic period. I make up 20% of the Earth's surface area. Oh, everyone's going to get it after this one, so be ready to raise your hand. The equator divides me in two. Maybe not. Maybe after this one. I'm the second largest ocean in the world. Oh, I don't know who was first.
What?
Atlantic Ocean.
The Atlantic Ocean, woo!
Congratulations. Give her an applause. Come on now.
Come on.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good job. All your friends.
Thank you, Jeremy.
You're welcome.
Okay, on to the second project. And this project, we've only had one meeting, so we're in the early stages. Miles probably thinks we're barely getting through this, but the early stages are always the longest, deciding what we want to have in our product or application. So, guardrail maintenance. I am working on this project with Miles, who works in the maintenance division, who did not know I was going to talk about this till yesterday when I told him in another session. So we'll see how much he wants to work with me when I get back to the office. What? We want to replace current guardrail maintenance forms. So I don't know. I was not familiar with the guardrail maintenance forms before starting this project, but there is a bunch of them on the DOT website. We want to be able to send priority maintenance requests to supervisors. And we want to have this this form not only serve as a way for them to log the details of their maintenance, but also as a guide. So we want to be able to we want to be able to allow for pictures and videos within the form that the person filling it out can use for reference. Okay, where would we be collecting this information? Out in the field. And we're also, unlike the other project where Rob and I are kind of doing like a pilot and then going to introduce it to the districts, even though some districts might be in here. So I guess you get your introduction today. We have a group of different people in our meetings that are giving feedback. And I think, Miles, that we have people from the districts, right?
Yeah, I think it's in the Bismarck district.
Yeah, Nathanson. Okay, and then why are we doing this? Because there's new requirements from Federal Highway and because the DOT wants to safely move people and goods. And guardrails are there for our safety. And if they're broken, they're probably not the best barrier, So we are using Survey 123 for this rather than field maps. We need to create the form, which I've started, and we've had one meeting, and so we have some adjustments to make, and that's what I'll be working on the rest of this week. End user testing, so far, Miles and I have done the testing. We want to be able to create a report to be sent to FileNet, because we need this information. In FileNet, alerts, so we'll work with our ITD department to send out alerts on, so people know which guardrails need to be fixed and what is wrong with them. And then we're gonna roll out a dashboard where you can go and look and see which ones were, which guardrails have been inspected and which ones need to be fixed. So, this says demo, but I don't have videos on it. So this is where it might get tricky because I had to request this nice lady, IT person, Ashley, to reset up this laptop so I could bring up Word. So, we're just starting this project, and basically how we're starting it is Miles is sending me questions that need to be on this form. So you can see on this information, we have the questions we need to ask, and depending on the answers, that's how we are going to know which, what guardrails to send a maintenance request for. So we have these questions, we have the pictures, he has them in the document for reference. And then also, as you can see on the second, like the second column, rail, I think it's rail deflection. I can't read sideways. If they answer yes, then they might be prompted for other questions. So with the amount of questions, because this is like the main guardrail inspection, and then there's a section where they're actually going to pick the end treatment, and there's going to be questions and pictures for each end treatment that they choose. So go ahead.
Is it reasonable to ask you why you chose Survey 123 instead of field map?
Yeah, it's reasonable. It's just because of the end treatments, to make it user-friendly, I felt like we would need to have like related tables, and it would just be more complicated to the user. I'm going to show you how the form is started, and I don't have a map on there, but I am adding a map to it, so they will be able to pick the location, and we're bringing the guardrails over from our rims, and so they'll be able to select the guardrail, and some of the information will actually populate. So there is some of that functionality available. It will be location-based when we get the form going. I do plan, that's how we'll have the dashboard, the map on the dashboard. We'll need that information for the map on the dashboard. The amount of questions, we only have, right now, the form I'm going to show you, I'll scroll down, and there's a lot of questions, and we haven't even got all the end treatments on it yet. So just the amount of questions, I felt it would be easier for them to answer it in Survey 123. Okay, so anyway, so I have about, 7 of these documents, would you say, Miles, that have questions?
Yeah, you must have a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so it's a lot of things to put on the survey, but it's all good. So what does the survey look like? Let's see. So this is the survey, and it's not in preview mode. It's right now it's in design mode, and I'm gonna try to move my mouse over here and scroll down, but I don't know how well this will work because I can't see sideways very good, but let me see if I can. So you can see we have our pictures from that document. Here we have all the questions, and I have the survey set up, so you can see some of those questions are grayed out right now, and those are just set up. They have a rule set up, so they're only visible based on if the end user would select yes on that. That is their deflection in the rail, based on those Word documents that Miles had sent me. So if we keep going down through here, you know, this is just one end treatment, and it gets quite lengthy. So I just felt to answer your question, I just felt the format in Survey 123 would be more user-friendly than trying to put it in field maps. Okay, and so what does it look like? I think this is the preview button. We're gonna hit it and find out. See if it'll, I don't know if it'll come up. Ah, here we go. So if I was filling this in out in the field, as an end user, Cavalier District. And so, like I said, once we add the map to this, like the highway and mile marker, some of that information is gonna show up. We have yes, no. So this was what I was talking about with the, it'll bring up more questions based on your answer. Oh, it would if I actually chose the question I wanted to look at. Okay, so we have that, and then let's see if I can click the X. Maybe I can click the X. So we do have some data in here. Most of the data that's in here is just me and Miles testing, or all the data in here. So Miles is gonna be super happy because I'm gonna choose his row. Here it is. And so it does give us a report. It has all his information that he selected. And if we scroll all the way to the bottom, you can take a picture. So they can add pictures to it, comments, etc. And then this table is what we'll build we'll write some code, me and Brandon ITD, and we'll build our notifications off of the system based on the rules that Miles had put in his Word documents. And we can actually, on the, it'd be your right side, yes, maybe, yes, your right side, as you're looking at it, we can export that to PDF, and that's what we can put in our FileNet system, which is just a records holder system. So, yes?
So doing that, are you gonna have ready access to all the pictures or videos that you have there? Or does it just bring the most recent ones in front? So that there's kind of, if you had easy access to all of them, kind of a picture of the sequence of what you've gone through and like the repairs maybe?
We haven't really discussed if they want to replace the reports, because it's going to depend if we set it up where they can edit the existing record, because then it would overwrite, or if they'd put a new record in there. So it'll be kind of dependent on setup, and we haven't got that far. But when we get the map going and we have the map on the dashboard, they'll be able to click on each area that they've done the survey on and see the pictures. So if they choose to not overwrite but keep the pictures or create a new record every time, they would have access to each record that they have. Okay? Okay. So one last round of trivia. I know someone here cannot wait to win this last prize. You might be sad from my presentation, so you might need that Kleenex.
All right, here we go.
Okay, are we ready? You're such an exciting crowd. I feel like you guys have not had enough coffee today. Come on, let's liven up the room. I am a famous structure.
Can I guess?
Yes, sure.
Okay. The Capitol building.
You would be wrong.
Okay.
First time, though. It's only the first time you've been around.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I am in Asia.
Near Bismarck.
This is not somewhere in North Dakota.
Okay.
Shocking conditions were endured while making me.
Great Wall of China?
Nope.
Oh,
No,
you get a
no.
car, though.
Is that what you're going to guess too, Rob? It was the Great Wall of China?
Yeah, you took my answer.
Well, give them both a car. We want to get rid of these.
You get a car. You get a car.
Yeah. Okay. I was built by Allied prisoners of war. Nope.
You get a car.
The Japanese oversaw my construction. Yes, woohoo!
Whoa.
Bridge over the River Kwai, for anyone that did not.
What's your name? Let's hear it for Jeff, everybody.
Woo! Okay. So that brings us to the last slide. I don't even know what time it is. Oh, 9:38. See, we did good. I didn't go off in a rabbit hole like I usually do. So we're good. This has my contact information on. I should have had Jeremy's, but
Oh, that's okay.
if you want to talk to Jeremy, contact me and I can hook you up. Is there any questions? Yes, Amy.
How available are the licenses for these programs that you demonstrated today to the whole of the DOT?
That would be a good question for Brandon. I know we have so many ArcGIS online licenses and we have some for Portal as well. And so we have, like some of the things that I've been doing recently, some have been done in Portal. Like Rob's project, I actually use Portal for rather than ArcGIS Online. The Survey 123 project, I'm using the actual Survey 123 website. So we are, I believe you did the survey. We're trying to send out, or we have sent out a survey, and Esri is changing some of their licensing for ArcGIS Pro. So right now we're trying to determine the needs of the licenses throughout the
I know there's a lot
DOT.
of users still using map.
Yeah,
DOT, and
I'd like to see them off of that, but
her question was to upgrade these people to Pro because it's a big deal.
yeah. I don't know if Scott has anything to add about the licensing, but, or if I have any corrections that need to be said, so. Yeah. So yeah, so it's, I don't know, if anyone here works with Esri, about the time you understand their licensing, they change it, and so that's what we're trying to figure out right now is with the new licensing changes, who needs what in the DOT and how to distribute them, and then, once we have those answers, we'll have some training on our Pro, and Portal, I don't know if you've added any data yet to your maps from Portal, but, so, yeah.
Thank you.
So, yes?
I think in the first example you mentioned, one of the whys for the project was to help with design.
Mm-hmm.
How is the data from that Excel workbook making its way into MicroStation or wherever it is helping with design?
I'll let Rob answer that. Since,
So we use,
do you want to come up here so they can hear you? No? Okay. I don't know where the other microphone is. Oh,
I got you.
just an Excel sheet, you just copy that in that page. Anything I had from Excel right there. You know, summary ones.
Just a place to store information that you're going to put into your map.
Yeah.
You guys are just working on, your square yardage, and that's
square foot, yep, and the channel line, and stop bars.
You're not doing like your center line, edge line, and all that stuff
Nope.
like we are?
No,
I kind of want to get together with you because we're working on something.
Thank you,
We're not
Stephanie.
on the same line.
yeah, and we made it with Stephanie in mind to roll it out to every district, so there's,
I've been collecting all the data. We haven't actually worked on the map yet at all. I've got like 90% of our data collected.
yeah, you would, yeah. So you're gonna go back out to it, so really when you're inspecting that job, doing your striping job for the year, you go out and look to make sure messages, it's an opportune time to record it, so you don't actually have to send your guys out twice, you know, whoever goes out, you can just use that program, collect the data, and then the next year that's accurate for your design stuff, so there'll be like little lags kind of when you solve it, but we don't work stuff out in a year or two.
Is there another question?
This
Then-
might be more for Miles, but
Okay.
you mentioned early on that there was some new federal regulations for the guardrail inspection or management. Is that, you know what those are, and do they apply to local roads as well?
Yeah, so we have them on our DOT website right now. And what you'll find is, it'll be, the manufacturer's forms will be on there. So you can check on the DOT website, just type in guardrails. And it'll take you to our website, it'll take you to our existing forms we have. The existing forms are from the manufacturers. We also have training from Federal Highway that's on there.
I was gonna try to bring it up, but apparently I can't.
So basically, all the documents we received from Federal Highway are on there. They also gave us a manual that's on there as well.
Miles, is that an internal website though, or is that external?
I believe it's external.
If you email me, I can send you the link for that. That was you that asked the question, I believe, yeah. And the, what question?
In our district, we have a comprehensive listing of what we
Mm-hmm.
use for district-wide striping.
Okay,
And, you know, so we have all our pavement markings on a spreadsheet already.
sounds like,
And wondering if, you know, this would be something we'd have to go out in the field for, or, because we use Pathway a lot for
Yep.
getting our mile points and stuff, and putting it all on our spreadsheets.
depending on what's in your spreadsheets, it could probably just be all done in Arc Pro.
The turn lanes,
Yeah.
all
Yep.
that, everything, and we've got stop bars, we've got, you know, everything that we use for our statewide, district-wide striping.
Yeah, we should be able to import that from your Excel documents. The thing is, we would have to create points for the locations for them if you don't have XY coordinates in. If you do have XY coordinates in your spreadsheet, we can use geoprocessing tools to create the feature. That's fine, they'll be close enough. We could use some of the spatial analysis tools to plot them at that mile point.
Yeah, you know, years ago, we went out and driven them, and now when we update, we just, a lot of times just have to do it.
Yep, that's fine. There's lots of ways to bring in the data, especially if you can get it in like an Excel format. You don't have to start over. We don't want to start over if we have good data. We want to try to utilize it efficiently, so. Is there any other questions?
One more car left.
Yeah, we have one more car left. You can ask what temperature it is outside or whatever, you know. I mean, it's North Dakota. We all love to talk about the weather, so.
It's a red car.
Oh, that's right. Well, you get to keep it
I don't want
for
it.
being such a wonderful assistant.
I think you should have it.
Okay, I guess. So if there's no other questions, again, my contact information's on here. Don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions, even general questions on Arc Pro and even Arc Map. I'll help if you ask me them. I prefer not to, though. So thank you, guys.